Hey guys, it's Clovis, and today I'm going to explain why Flame Swordsman is the worst effect monster in Duels of the Roses. Now, I need to quickly mention, right, there is some salvation in Flame Swordsman if you fusion summon it. So, to fusion summon Flame Swordsman in the game, ironically you don't actually use the real fusion components. Flame Manipulator cannot actually make Flame Swordsman in this game, but you fuse a warrior with a pyro, and because there are low SP pyros and warriors in the game, you can make Flame Swordsman for 2 stars, and 1800 attack for 2 stars. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that if you fusion summon it. The difference is, as a hard copy, Flame Swordsman is just has to be the worst hard copy effect monster you could possibly include in a deck. Okay, we already consider, right, so I know deck cost might not seem important, but it does contextualize the value of some cards, and I mean, Flame Swordsman, right, 39 deck cost, we're talking about, 40 deck cost is about the start of cards that start to be, like, quite powerful, and if you think about the way that effects work and how deck cost is calculated with effect monsters, they basically just add 5 deck cost to the card if it has an effect. And what this means is that you will get some really low deck cost cards with like some really powerful effects, something like Muka Muka. This card is less than 20 deck cost and you can easily get thousands and thousands of attack out of it. Crazy good. But with Flame Swordsman, some of these cards, like these really bad cards, I will mention another couple ones with really bad effects, but you're basically just adding 5 deck cost to the card for no reason, and that makes the card less valuable relative to its deck cost. You also talk about, something I mentioned in the Leo Wizard video, is that you already have 4 summoning level monsters that have 1800 attack, or even higher. So if you have Flame Swordsman in the hand, instead of being able to play it on the first turn, like an 1800 attack 4-star, you have to wait until your next turn to play it. Again, we are just going to make it exempt from fusion summoning because you can fusion summon plenty of monsters. I did consider that. I am literally just talking about having hard copies of Flame Swordsman in your deck is just the worst idea possible. One other thing you might be wondering is, for example, warrior decks, are these good, are these bad? Well, they're actually pretty bad, and the worst thing you could do is make a warrior deck with no synergy whatsoever, because there's just no support for it, right? You can stick Salamandras in the deck, but I mean, truthfully, there's what? 2 fire warriors in the game. There's Flame Swordsman and Tactical Warrior. If I'm missing one, there is like literally one more that is irrelevant. Otherwise I would have remembered it, but I'm pretty sure there's only 2 of them, right? And it's just disgusting. Like, the 1800 attack 5 stars is just not good. Okay, it's just not good because the game has 4-star cards with 2000 attack, or Slate Warrior that has like 2400 attack. So these cards are just outright better no matter what deck you play them in, even without synergy. Flame Swordsman, okay, it's just nothing special. And then you look at its effect, right? You look at its effect, what does it do? 300 point bonus when battling dinosaur monsters. How terrible is this? Okay, I just, first of all, think of this. There's only one duelist in the game that actually uses dinosaurs, like, reliably. I know Shardy has Brachioradus or whatever, but oh my god. I want you to consider playing against Rex, right? You have Flame Swordsman. You play this 5-star 1800 attack Flame Swordsman, and it still cannot cleanly beat over a 2-headed King Rex or Crawling Dragon number 2, which is like, that's the card you'll see in most duels, right? At the start of a duel against Rex. So if he just plays the most common monster he can play on the first turn, or the most common attack he can play on the first turn, it still beats a card that its only effect is to try to counter and destroy dinosaurs. And dinosaurs are just the worst type in the game. So who cares? Like, it's like having an extra 300 bonus attack against nobody. If you considered any, like, player versus player, like, multiplayer 1 versus 2, you're playing against your friend, I mean, you don't need any counter cards, right, to beat dinosaurs, because you can beat dinosaurs with, like, any other deck strategy, even just, like, a normal, like, if you just make the best possible warrior deck, you wouldn't include Flame Swordsman, you would just beat dinosaurs still anyway. So this effect is just absolutely pointless. All this effect really does is just add 5 deck cost to a card that's already bad, and just the fact that it's 1800 attack for 5 stars, we already talked about this in the Leo Wizard thing. Who cares? Like, you can't play this on the first turn anyway, so, if you're gonna wait until your second turn, you could play literally any other effect monster as 5 stars or up to 7 stars instead of this. Just, Why would you play Flame Swordsman as a hard copy? Yes, you can fuse it. You can make a Flame Swordsman deck even, but, I mean, the actual hard copy of the card is just a brick in your hand. It doesn't do anything. It's just not particularly good. In fact, it's just terrible. It's so bad that it just made the topic, it just was the one card that I thought about when thinking about the worst effect monster in the game. I know some cards have really bad and detrimental effects, like outright worse than this. You think about a card like Dark Elf, right? Oh, you lose 50 LP, so that's like the worst effect ever, right? You take damage, but no, like you take 1.25% of your starting health every time you attack with a 2000 attack 4-star card. Like, this card is really, really good, and the effect, the detrimental effect, is honestly nothing for a card like Dark Elf. So even though that card has an effect that's designed to make you lose your valuable resource or whatever, it's completely inconsequential. In fact, I would argue that Dark Elf having 5 more deck cost with that effect is more detrimental than the actual effect itself. Like, all that it really means is that if for whatever reason you have 50 life points or lower, you just can't attack with that card, or you just lose instantly. If you have 4000 attack, you know, who cares if you attack with that card, right? But anyways, thinking about quickly to mention other cards I considered for the worst effect monsters in the game. I mean, you've got Witch of the Black Forest, right? This effect is just really bad, you would just never use it. One face-up defense Witch of the Black Forest would reduce all light cards in the game by 100 points. That is the definition of negligible, right? So what, you put Witch of the Black Forest in defense mode, and then Blue Eyes White Dragon with 2900 attack just still kills her anyways. Like, 100 attack taken off these monsters is just nothing. Like, in a game where equips, you can just put 300 or 500 attack on every single card, over and over and over again. 100 attack and defense reduction in this game is completely irrelevant. It's just useless. But the truth is, it's not really a bad effect monster because it's a 4-star female. So, like, you know, for example, it's just as useful as any other 4-star female in a deck where you're making Mystical Sand. I know I mentioned that card in the Leo Wizard video, but truthfully, like, you can find salvation in a card like Witch of the Black Forest, knowing that if you include it in your deck, it is just as good to fuse to make Mystical Elf as any other 4-star card in your deck. 4-star female, rather, whether it's like Mystical Elf or something. It's not terrible. There is actually a use you can get out of it. Flame Swordsman, the only thing you can fuse this into is Judge Man, but for Judge Man, you fuse any card with 1000 attack or over, and there are like there's like 5 to 10 warriors with 1000 attack that are 3 stars or lower. And you can just fuse them with the Judgment Hand, and you could theoretically like open up with 3 Judge Mans in your first 3 turns if you do that. But if you use Flame Swordsman, you will have to regenerate your SP, for no reason other than you included Flame Swordsman instead of better fusion material, so it is stupid. And there is also another example. So, just to finish off the video, right, Embryonic Beast, you flip that in face-up defense mode, and after 3 turns pass, you get Ryu Kishin. Not even Ryu Kishin powered, you just wait 3 turns and you just have 1000 attack. Like, this is just the stupidest effect maybe in the game. It's just so useless and pointless. It's purely just for flavor. But, again, truthfully, Embryonic Beast, you could just include that in your deck as some fusion material for some other stuff. Obviously, there's way more examples, there are way better fiends, lower SP fiends, stuff like Karibo. Obviously, is just way, way, way better at doing everything that you would want to do with Embryonic Beast in this context, but Flame Swordsman, I mean, you know, it's just a brick, it doesn't do anything, it just sucks, and that's why Flame Swordsman is the worst effect monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duels of the Roses. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.